Hi, I'm Rose Evermore, and this is my spoiler review of Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. If you want to see a no spoiler review, this is your time to go check my other video and check it out. It's about 5 minutes long, barely anything said, and I will sum it up here if you have seen the movie. If you haven't, I suggest going there. So let's get down to it. I'm gonna be real serious now. Ready? So, with this video, I'm gonna go into a little bit more in depth from the other one. But to summarize the other one, I like the movie as a movie itself, good quality. So it was a good movie. It was a good horror movie. It had horror aspects, it had creepy dolls, it had a few jump scares, had the stereotypical things, and this is where spoilers come in. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. You had the creepy lighter scene where like things are blowing, you can't quite see things slowly creeping up on you. It did that well. Had the creepy dolls magically appearing, and everything with Lisa Trevor was all creepy. There's a little bit there in the beginning that was creepy. Kind of tapers off a little bit, then gets a little bit creepy again with that lighter scene. A good overall horror movie. I get scared easily, so I'm not like a good connoisseur of horror movies, but I like zombie movies. So was it a good zombie movie? Yes. Why? Because it had zombies, and the way it worked in this was that it flowed rather well, in my opinion, from going into how the infection happened, how the outbreak happened, how they're slowly turning, how everyone's slowly getting sick, and also explaining why certain people aren't getting sick. So it kind of does a little bit of all of it to explain. But my one problem with it being a great horror or zombie movie is that it didn't have enough zombies. They were more in the in-between state more than anything. You saw more of the stereotypical zombie with the bird than anything else. The one bird. It didn't last very long. I would say that's the most stereotypical zombie of it. Fucking died. It came back to life. It looked like a zombie. It acted like a zombie. Not getting up back from the dead and just walking away. It wasn't like, oh, look at my hair. It wasn't like any of that. It was an actual zombie. So I like that part, and I wish that we did more of that. It was clear that they were trying to make things fast-paced in the movie to try to fit it within the time frame that they were trying to squish everything into. Why they decided to squish 2 games boggles my mind, but they decided to do that. So because of that, the zombie thing, the whole premise of it was that it was an outbreak and people were getting sick. So they had to show that. So they couldn't show the zombies like as actual zombies, decomposing, wanting brains. There was, yes, the attacks and stuff, but it wasn't really there. Like, we had this scene with the mansion. You had the zombies coming in and attacking, and there's suddenly a bunch of them out of nowhere. That wasn't what the game was, though. The game wasn't World War Z, where you have mountains of zombies chasing you. You had one in a hallway. You had one that kind of like comes out of a closet and scares you, type of thing. You didn't have a lot of zombies, except for in specific spots. And it was rare. This was like out of nowhere. And it made it really intense, those moments, but then it switched to a not intense moment. And it kind of lost the build up from that. So the cutting between the zombie attacks also wasn't great for a zombie film. So was it a good zombie film? Yes. A little bit too realistic, maybe. I wanted more death. So moving on, was it a good Resident Evil movie? Yes. So you see, I'm kind of critiquing it harshly, but still saying yes. This is because Resident Evil films haven't been exactly like the games. Even the CGI movies are a little bit different, a little bit weird. The Mila Jovovich series is different. They're still good. They're still good Resident Evil. Even the novels were still good Resident Evil, even though it wasn't quite the same. So it was okay as a Resident Evil movie. The thing that got me so fucking hard is that it was not what it sold it as. It was not a perfect adaptation from the games to film. And that's what I expected. That's what I expected from the trailer. So from the trailer, I would have rated this movie an 8 out of 10. That didn't happen. I am not rating it 8 out of 10 anymore after seeing it. The trailer had all the best parts, and it wasn't even properly used in the film. So they cut it in such a way to make me think it would be a lot more accurate. The accurate bits of it. He had zombie dogs, yes. Those were correct. Did you have them a lot and used properly? No. Yes, you had the overturned truck. Was it used properly? No. Was he way too much into this movie? Fuck yes. I did not need to see him that much. It felt like it took away from some of the other scenes. You could have had a little bit more cinematic view of the city. That would have been nice. But no, we had more everything from his perspective. His truck. Which is an interesting take, but not what I wanted, especially with a movie that's titled Raccoon City. Not Trucker and everyone coming to Raccoon City. Well, I guess it's Welcome to Raccoon City. So I guess you can argue it. It still wasn't enough Raccoon City for me. And also, it wasn't a city. It might be my big city girl views, but that was not a city. They tried to make it a diminishing town that was dying. They kind of made, like, you know how like those old coal towns that are slowly dying off because the mine is closed? That's what they're making it, but instead of the mine, it was the umbrella facility that was closing, and that's why everyone's moving away. I'm sorry. How is that a city? It's not a city anymore. You are making... I understand places like Detroit, they were cities, but you're making it no longer a big city. And if you remember in the games, specifically 2 and 3, you're running through an actual city. It feels similar to the city here in New York City. And I didn't get that at all from what I was looking at. I was seeing buildings that were like small town suburban. And like I live slightly in suburban in the city. That was a lot more suburban than this. It was a lot that was different from Raccoon City that I imagined. So I wasn't thrilled with that. You didn't really get to see the city. So as a Resident Evil movie, yes, but not what they were selling it as. It is not Resident Evil made into film. Now to go on to the next part. Why my views dropped on this so much. The casting I wasn't thrilled with. It was an 8 out of 10 in my review, mostly because the casting I felt like was young and they made Jill into a conspiracy theory nut. So wasn't thrilled with that. I didn't realize that those were going to be so overpowering aspects of this movie to make it drop further. The acting missed the ball a lot. They made Jill in like her aspect of like she needs to kind of keep up with the men, like keep up with the bro attitude and kind of like stand her ground and be tougher, because like she was like the only girl in stars outside of Bravo team, which in this movie Bravo team's not really there. It's 2 like regular cop detective guys, not Bravo team. So Resident Evil 0, out the window, does not exist, which is upsetting because I love Rebecca Chambers and there's obviously no chance of Billy. So that was all of that. No. It also takes away the aspect of like the whole train and getting workers into this the facility. All that is out the window, based on everything that they did. So she was way too like trying too hard to be like one of the dudes, and I didn't like that because she was stronger. I felt like they diminished her character a little bit by doing that, because she was a strong female character. She wasn't this cocky, she wasn't this ridiculous. I felt like she was not a useful character, but we all know Jill's super useful. So yes, she survived, but it could have been better. So then we move on. I'm gonna move on to Wesker. I love Wesker. It's like a love-hate thing. I want to punch him in the face, but he's also hot and stoic. This movie? Nope. 10-foot pole would not touch him. Why? Because he's like a fraternity college dude, bro. He was young. He was ridiculous. There's no way he has a fucking son. Or can, like, he's not even like a son old enough to get with Sherry. There's no way. So I was just like, he looked like he was younger than me. Like, come on. I did not like that. I didn't like his attitude. It did not feel like Wesker. His attitude at the end there, when he was like betraying everyone, a smidge, maybe a Wesker, and that's just betrayal. That's it. That's it. And Jill shouldn't have actually felt betrayed because he didn't seem like he was really betraying her. He's just like, I gotta go, I'm sorry, type of thing, and then running off. So for her to be like, he betrayed us all, is leaving us for dead. It's just like, no, that's not what happened. He's just literally going to go make a payday. You could have followed him. He did not leave you for dead. And he wanted you to come with him. Or else he would have fucking left you for dead or just left you somewhere else before going into that room. So, yeah. Then him dying, I was just like, oh god, he's not supposed to actually die. But then if you waited for it's not quite after credits, it was after like the short credits, there's a scene where you see him. And it explains why he wears the glasses. I'm just like, this is so lame. And of course, Ada Wong. I'm not a fan of her in the films. The CGI films, yes. But in the games, I'm not a fan of her. She's annoying. And she takes Leon away from Claire, and that's what I hated. But I just don't like her. So, keeping all that in mind, I was really upset because what they were painting Wesker as was like an Ada Wong. He was sent in there to get stuff for another organization. But in reality, he did work actually for like Umbrella. There was like a different sect of Umbrella, but still Umbrella. And she was kind of working for other people. So it kind of like messed with it. And then they turned out to be working together. It was weird. They messed with it so much that I did not like it. I did like that they like brought him back so he wasn't actually dead. But it's still a little weird. And also, Ada Wong never met Leon now. So now we're gonna move on to the next character. We're gonna move on to... Fuck it, we're gonna move on to Leon since I just brought him up. What the fuck did they do? What the fuck? He was a nerd and a awkward kid, dork. Yes, that's what he was in the second game. The original, like, that's what he was. We're not gonna deny that. But he wasn't a fucking incompetent rich kid, spoiled brat. But that's what they fucking painted him as. His incompetence knew no bounds. I was like, who designed this? Because what the fuck? If he was that incompetent, he would not have been a playable fucking character in Resident Evil 2. Like, who said yes to this? Like, before I was just like, oh, why'd they get him to play him? He doesn't look like Leon. Like, he didn't look nerdy enough. He looked more like hipster, and I didn't quite like feel like that was what Leon was. And they did make a joke that he was like a hippie because he had long hair. Which Leon in the original didn't have as long hair as he does later on. Like, he kind of gets the emo or longer hair. So, like, he didn't need to have that long hair right now. And I understand the whole point of, like, squishing the storylines and making it easier to tell. And literally the story takes place with, like, 3 hours, 4 hours. It's not that long. So they had to get him already there. But they treat him like shit. And it just was awkward and weird. Nothing flowed. His storyline did not flow. It was annoying. And they literally could have given him more storyline if they just took out Chief Irons. He was not needed. They did not need that aspect. He added comedy that was not necessary. And he added I guess, a position of authority. But Wesker should have been that position of authority if they actually got a person old enough to have authority. It just made no sense. Upset by that. The only time Leon actually expressed a Leon-like personality was at the end when he had a fucking rocket launcher, which honestly, I like the rocket launcher coming out of nowhere, because honestly, from the video games to fight the bosses, we had to pull that shit out constantly. So that felt like the video game. That felt good. I like that part. I also like that they were shooting his eyeballs. That was very useful, because that's also I'm referring to Birkin now, not Leon's eyeballs. I'm jumping all over the place. I'm so sorry. ADHD, woo! So we can now jump to Birkin. Since I'm bringing it up, I'm gonna just go to where my brain takes me. I'm so sorry. So we got Birkin. His storyline was just he's more evil and disgusting than I feel he was in the games. But the thing that pissed me off the most of his storyline is that his wife wasn't a scientist. She had no idea about Umbrella. You meet his wife in Resident Evil 2. You run into her. She's not an idiot. She's not ignorant. So the fact that she was is ridiculous. And Sherry did not have a important role to play at all in this. And Sherry's a prime example of how they missed the ball so hard. They just could have added maybe one, two real short scenes. For example, after Wesker goes in and kills her parents, she could have ran away. She doesn't. Fine. She could have ran away after Chris and Jill come and find her and kill Wesker. She could have ran away. That would have been perfect to the storyline. She doesn't know who these people are. They're dressed like him. Yes, they shot him. She doesn't know that they're actually safe. She would realistically run away. And a good place to hide would be a fucking vent. She could have crawled through that. It would have felt more like the game. Her running away, constantly running away, escaping when she could have been saved, would have felt more like the game. And then if she ran into Leon and Claire, would have made sense. Instead, she's with Chris and Jill. Chris is separated for a little bit. I like the little boss battle feel of that. But it wasn't enough. It was just like, there you go, it's done. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I wish my boss battles lasted that long instead of lasting like 15-20 minutes of me dying, but that's fine. And then they just all of a sudden they're all together, the entire group of them. There was something missing there. So I definitely need to see deleted scenes. Hopefully there are some, because if there are not, whoever wrote this did not think things out literally and how to make it properly fit the way the video game worked. The video game worked of like, you met someone, you still didn't end up having to split up. It was a constant thing of like, get together, split up, get together, split up. And I would have liked that a lot more. Didn't really have that. And again, the mansion, even the lab, the police station, all of that didn't have a lot happening in it. It was very limited, and I was very disappointed in how that turned out. So let's move on to the most disappointing aspect of this film. The Redfields. They decided to create this big, elaborate backstory as if it was the main plot of the entire film. Instead, they used the Redfields in this backstory as a band-aid to stick the plot together because it made no fucking sense. I hate it. I hate everything about it. It explained why Jill was all conspiracy theory and everything, but it was unnecessary. They're both way too young. The Lisa Trevor thing was unnecessary. She was even used to destroy the liquor. The liquor I was so excited about. It's so fucking amazing. It looked good. It looked great. I wanted an epic chase scene. I wanted it to disappear. They'd be like, oh shit, and then wondering around every corner if it's gonna be there, because you had that fear in that game. You didn't get that fear. it was instantly dealt with by a side character. It's like when you're playing D&D and the DM realizes you're all incompetent and sends in an NPC to save the day. That's literally what just happened. I was very disappointed. I did not enjoy it. So everything about the Redfield story, the orphanage, everything, I did not like. I liked that we saw the Ashford twins. I liked that they brought all that in. They still fucked it. Because Claire never got to take care of Sherry, she didn't have that compassion. They tried to, I don't know, bring that compassion with Lisa Trevor. She didn't seem to have that compassion. She was just like, yeah, fuck you. Thanks for helping me. Like, we're just here helping, but we're friends and you guys are just useful to me. Like, she didn't have a caring personality. It was more of like, who's useful, and that's it. I felt like they missed the mark in preparing a better character development for her, because she didn't really have any. And it doesn't explain any of her like humanitarian efforts after Raccoon City. That's her biggest focus. You don't see any of that. The other thing you don't see, Barry Burren. You had Chicken Vickers, yes, fine. His helicopter scene, fine. Whatever, you want to crash it there, it's fine. I don't care. I'm happy he's dead. Chicken Vickers, haha. Also, you meet him with Carlos in Resident Evil 3 in the police station, but you don't really get that now, so obviously that wouldn't work out. So, like, whatever. Chicken Vickers, yay. They had some other guy in there, and I was like, he better not be Barry Burton. Turns out he wasn't Barry Burton, so that was good. Because I was like, he's too scrawny. We needed a good dad bod character. We missed dad bod character. He wasn't in there. So I guess that means no Revelations 2 storyline with his daughter and him. All that's up in the air. And then what else is up in the air? Not only did they get rid of that and Resident Evil 0, 3 clearly can't fucking happen because Jill made it out and the city was destroyed. Is Carlos ever going to exist? Is he gonna just have a separate storyline? Maybe him and Ada Wong will have their own movie, because that's not what Resident Evil 3 is, but we're gonna pretend like we're gonna make that. That's why I don't know how they're gonna go on from here, because they completely butchered the storyline. Like, yes, you can change details of things. Yes, you can try to mix things together, but don't say you're making a movie to kind of combine those two games. You're making like a standalone movie at that point, because you're taking away all the future aspects of it, and then from the future onwards you're gonna have to change. It's not gonna be those games at all. You're gonna skip over games entirely, which fine, you make that decision, it's up to you. Which with seeing the Ada bring back Wesker at the end, it makes it seem like there's going to be another film. I don't know if there's going to be. I really want there to be. I want them. Please show me where the fuck you're gonna go from here and how you're gonna save this. Like, I want to know. I don't know. I want to know, but I don't know. So, there better be a sequel. But also, I'll be surprised if there is a sequel. Let's see. What else to complain about? There's a lot, actually. The fact that the STARS, Special Tactics, and Rescue Squad did not seem special tactics. They seemed like the bully detectives that bully the younger rookie cops type of thing. Like the cops that couldn't make it to detective type of thing. That's what they seemed like. They didn't seem special tactics. Yes, once they had their guns going into the mansion, did they seem a little bit more special tactics, but they were still missing something. It didn't feel quite right. That being said, Jill did have a blue tank top on. Made me feel like, yay, something's correct. They did have the keys for the key symbols on the key ring and everything, how they open specific doors. I got so excited. Was it used properly? No. Was it just thrown in randomly to just get us fans excited? Yes. Was that a good thing? Probably not. I got so excited and then instantly disappointed because she just put it into a wall and then unlocked the wall and then left it there. Like, those keys were used in the mansion, those keys were used in the police station. There was so much more they could have done. Like, yes, in the mansion they did the little piano to open the secret door, but it made it seem like it was the only one. And then the orphanage had the secret door, but the police station didn't have any secret facility. That was weird. I feel like there was missing so much that they could have done better. I think this is the best way for me to summarize it. It was inspired. It was wanting. It did not succeed. It could have been so much better. And the fact that people were worried about this being a fan movie, and I was like, this is no way looking like a fan movie, like when people were suggesting that, I still agree. This is not a fan movie. Does not seem like a fan movie. The reason why? Fans don't take liberty with the script. Fans don't mess up things. Fans keep things as accurate as possible. They strive for the authenticity. Clearly these people didn't. And I know it's like made by Sony. They worked with Capcom. They worked really hard to get to that point of let's make a good rendition of this. But if you're gonna do that, do each game. You could have made so much money off the franchise that way. I think them taking it and trying to combine the two games is what fucked it. If they just did each game, it would have worked so much better. There wouldn't be so many inconsistencies. They wouldn't have had to rush for time. It just would have flowed. And I feel like that's what was missing. None of it flowed properly. And honestly, as realistic as they made that outbreak, I didn't like it. I could have done without that. I could have done with out of nowhere, a zombie biting my neck off. I would have been happy with just that. Not people getting sick. Don't try to explain it to me. I don't care. It's Resident Evil. It's a zombie film. We don't care that much. The people who do care read the lore pages. You could have had a news network going on in the background, so you still felt like the people who want to know can listen and see that and hear it and experience it, but the rest of us can just go straight into the action too. And I loved reading about the lore in the game. It's just, I feel like they heavily focused on it, and that changed the speed of everything happening, which then just made everything slowly drop the ball and go in different directions. So it could have been better. I would have liked more. What do you guys think? What did I miss? Is there other little secret Easter eggs that you guys really liked? Was there things you didn't like that I haven't mentioned? Did I miss something? I feel like I'm probably missing things. I saw it yesterday, so it has been a day. But that was mostly because I didn't want to record a video directly afterwards where I was just like screaming at everything. It's just, they could have done better. And as a huge fan, I want them to do better. So hopefully, future movies, they will. But please tell me in the comments what you believe, what you don't believe, what could be done better, and what you guys think about, I think Netflix is making a TV show adaptation. Possibly. Let me know what you guys think about that. That's going to be happening. In the meantime, I hope you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.